Hi, and welcome to Photoshop 1. I am Mrs. Teese, and I'm going to go through a few things as this short week 1, which starts on a Thursday. The only thing I'm going to have you guys do is kind of make sure everything is appropriately set up for you to be successful this semester. So the first thing that I want you to make sure that you do is to read the syllabus that I have included in Pilot in the news area. So the syllabus is included down here. I do want to mention that after looking at the syllabus, you will notice that I do have a WebEx that is not required to attend, but every Tuesday from 4 to 4:30, I will get on here. I will go over some maybe tidbits, some reminders, some maybe new ways to do things, some quick little helpful hints for you guys. Okay, those will be recorded and they will be made available to you, and I'll show you where you can find those at. Obviously, the first thing that you're going to need for Photoshop is Photoshop itself. If you currently do not have Photoshop, you can get it through Wright State for $50. I believe it's $50. It might be $60 this year. I don't know. Sometimes they change things. Down here in the Pilot, in the news area, I did put getting Adobe Photoshop, and these are instructions on how to do that. So make sure that if you have any questions with that, maybe contact Cats. They can help you out. But you do have a much reduced rate compared to getting it through Adobe. Okay, so make sure that you do that. The next thing that I'm going to need you to do is to go into the content area. In the content area, this is where I will show all of your work for the week, okay, for each week. So I have it all laid out. You're not seeing any of this because everything hasn't been fully developed. I always change things around a little bit. I will always release the week on Sunday evening, typically by 8 o'clock. Sometimes I might do it by Sunday at noon, but I try not to do it too far in advance because students sometimes get overwhelmed, especially if we have a project, a mini project, and then maybe a chapter or two that we're working on. And so sometimes they can be overbearing. And so what I try to do is just make sure I'm consistent on releasing it on Sunday. Work typically, not always, but typically will be due then by 11:59 the following Sunday. Okay, so always check your due dates for each one of those. If you're not familiar with Pilot, we will be using under communication the WebEx area. This is where you can find if you're like, hey, I have Tuesdays between 4 and 4:30 available and I've never done Photoshop, so maybe I will join this. Again, sometimes I have one student in WebEx, sometimes I have 20, sometimes I have none, and that's fine, okay? It's just an opportunity for me to feel a little bit more connected, even if there's nobody in class. Inside communication, there's also discussions. This is where you will post. If I tell you to post it to the discussion board, this is where you will post. Under assessments, Dropbox and quizzes and exams is really the only two places, we will be using a survey, that you guys will need to know for this particular class. Your grades obviously will be found underneath grades. And let me go back out of that. It's running a little slow here. Now let me go back to week 1 here real quick because I haven't released these as myself recording, but by the time you're seeing this will be live. So once you click on, if you click on syllabus and work, the syllabus will be posted in here as well. Week 1, this will be available to you. It says, please make sure you have Adobe Photoshop and Bridge. So please make sure you download Bridge as well when you get into the Adobe area. Also, if you plan on taking Photoshop 2, we will be doing Lightroom Classic. Is typically what I also include in the Photoshop 2 class. So that is something else you would need in the spring. Please complete the survey below, as well as the introduction to class, sign in to book, and download student files. So I do need you to complete the survey down here. It says Photoshop beginning survey. It is due by August 27th. This is a way for the school to know that you are attending this class. Okay, obviously we're not person to person, so I can't take attendance to make sure that you have shown up to class. So this is just a verification that yes, you are engaging with class, and I do have to report that to Wright State. So please make sure that you can go ahead. This will open up August 21st at 12 p.m. So as soon as that opens, you are more than welcome to complete it right away. It'll make my life easier the sooner you guys get this turned in. The other thing that you're going to need to do is get the book, okay? You can click, I do want to mention in this area, I do have the files right here. So this says 25 Photoshop 1 classroom and a book files. So this is a zipped folder that you can download. It will take a little bit of time because as you can see, it's like 634 megabytes. So that's a rather large file depending on your internet speed. Once you download it, you're going to need to unzip it. And I would definitely make sure that you put it in a folder, maybe Photoshop 1 class or something, so that you kind of keep things organized as we work through the semester. The other thing that I want to mention is the getting ready for class. Okay, so we need to grab our book. It is an online book, which I'm always super excited about the fact that it is free to Wright State University students. So inside here, you will see click to access the Adobe Classroom in a book. I think it's a really well laid out book. That's one of the reasons that we have chose this particular book. And it basically has 15 chapters for our 15 weeks. There will be weeks that I might have you do 2 chapters, and then there might be a week where I don't have you do a chapter. Because maybe we're working on projects and I think that is going to take precedence. So just to kind of a heads up. Let me go ahead and sign myself out. So when you hit it, let me show you what it's going to look. I'm going to log this out. So when you go back here and you hit access the Adobe Photoshop, it's going to look something like this. Okay, don't click anything until you get in here. And it says Adobe Photoshop. This is the book that you are going to want. You can see it takes about 14 hours to complete. Over here, do not start a free trial. That's not what we're going to do. We're actually going to hit sign in. The email address that you are going to use is your Wright State email. So it does need to be at wright.edu. So whatever your Wright State email is, make sure that you log on with that. You will then hit continue. It will say I'm with Wright State University. You will sign in with SSO. You will click that and it will automatically take you to the book. So super nice, super easy to kind of navigate through. If you look up at the top, there's the cover, obviously. So this is for 2025. The publication date is just less than a year ago. It says if we look over here, we have a title page, copyright page. Where are the lesson files? Now again, I just showed you where they are. So if you click on this and it tells you to do all of this nonsense, don't worry about it. I just tried to make your life easier, my life easier, because I would get 100 questions because you might run into some missteps. So just download the files from the pilot area. Will make your life easier. So go ahead, make sure you do that. And if you click on content, it's going to show you all the chapters and what you're going to learn. For those of you that maybe have had Photoshop before, I hope that you guys really learn some shortcuts, some new techniques that you didn't know that you were able to do. If you are new to Photoshop, please be patient with yourself, okay? Because it can be a little overwhelming at first. I try not to go too fast because I don't want to overwhelm people. But we do have a lot to do in this class, okay? So just try, if you run into problems, please don't hesitate to email me. I have, like I said, I also have office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays at from 4:30 to 6:30. I do request that you tell me at least 48 hours in advance. I can sometimes do it 24 hours in advance. So just make sure that you keep those lines of communication open. The last thing I really want to mention for this particular video, again, anytime I post something, make sure you read all the way through it, okay? Normally, I'm not going to read everything to you. I think you can handle that. But since this is new, I am going to kind of go through here. We'll basically be doing 1 to 2 chapters per week. I will help with some of the book work and some of the videos. So I will be posting videos every week as part of your lesson as well. So make sure that if you run into problems, that you look at those. Some of them would be just helpful hints with the book work. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I ran through the book work and I didn't have any issues, typically I will say, this is from chapter 1, and if you didn't have any problems, fantastic. Okay. Book assignments will be turned in as PDFs. I will attach a video on how to save as a PDF on this next Sunday. The book will say PSD every time, guys, but I need you to save it as a PDF, okay? I will not grade it, and I will send it back to you. I will put in the comments after grading that I won't grade it until it is a PDF. So please, unless I say otherwise, and I will tell you in the instructions that, hey, this time I want it as a PSD, make sure it is saved as a PDF. That will be put in Dropbox. Sometimes on mini projects, I might have you change it to another format, maybe a JPEG even, okay? So pay close attention to what I'm asking for you to turn in. The book assignments are going to be completion grades, basically, so I will look at it. I will typically open it up if I'm confused on what you did. It doesn't have to look exactly like the example, okay, but should have those key elements. And the reason I say it doesn't have to necessarily look exactly like it is I do want you to play around, okay? If you're like, oh, well, maybe I can make this a little bit better. Do that, okay? But I do want you to make sure that you are grasping those concepts, because we will be applying that to a lot of mini projects and other projects throughout the semester, okay? Back to our table of contents. Again, I want to look real quick at the syllabus before I let you go here in this first introduction video. Inside here, as you go through, again, note my office hours. Note that the WebEx will take place 4 o'clock to 4:30 every Tuesday. There might be a couple Tuesdays because I do teach a class, I teach full-time at Miami Valley Career Technology Center. So there might be weeks that I have something going on there that I might not be able to go live. So I will make sure that you guys know that I won't be live that day. The learning objectives and outcomes for this class are listed. You can read through this syllabus. I do recommend having you do need some kind of camera. It could be on your phone. That is absolutely fine. Make sure you read through the criteria. One of the things I do want to mention, okay, is that an iPad will not work for everything that we need to do. Okay, that does need to be, your Photoshop does need to be downloaded to an actual computer, because there's a bunch of tools that you're not going to be able to use on the iPad. So please make sure that you do get this onto a laptop computer. Again, go through that, go through the class criteria. Again, you're not attendance is not required. If there is emergency that comes up, say, a death in the family, you're sick, and you're like, I've been sick for a week. Please don't wait till the last minute. Try to, always make contact with your instructor. That goes a long way, okay? There will be 30% taken off your assignments when turned in past the due date and time. So all assignments are due at 11:59 on Sunday, unless otherwise noted. So please make sure that you get it in that time, because otherwise I will take off that 30%. Assignments are not accepted past 1 week from the due date, okay? Obviously, there are extenuating circumstances, okay? So if something happens, again, and you have to go out of town for a week or whatever, please, again, reach out. Communication is key. I apologize for this blank page in here. When I combine it to a PDF, sometimes that happens. Grades. This class will be about 600 points. Final project will be about 80 points. Quizzes are going to be worth about 40 points. I believe I have just 2 quizzes. And then projects and assignments, which is the book work and their mini assignments. And there are 4 rather large projects for this class, and then a 5th one if you want to include the final. This goes over just the Wright State's academic integrity policy and process. Here is the outline. So week 1 basically is just the syllabus, downloading files, getting into the book. Okay, so understand, unless I put it into Pilot, this is apt to change. I do want you to understand. I might be like, oh, week 6, you know what? We're going to do vector drawing and advanced compositing. Okay, so just kind of, but it does kind of at least give you an idea of what you are going to be doing. And you can see project 4 is due, and then finals week. Quiz and everything will be due by December 9th, and then you will be done. Okay, again, do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions. I will be posting the first bookwork assignment on Pilot on Sunday. Just make sure all of this, that you get the book, that you download the files, that you have Photoshop installed, and that you are ready to go to learn. Okay? If you have any questions, reach out, and I will be on WebEx on Tuesday.